Hello everybody, I'm Ramsis, and welcome back to another edition of Ramsis Retro Longplays, as we finally get to play the game Civilization 2. I've spent the first episode setting everything up and giving a little history. Well, now that that's all over with, it is time to actually play the game. That's right, we chose the Americans, we chose a custom-made map, we are on level 2 Warlord, that way we get to experience everything, have fun with everything, see what this game has to offer, and hopefully win it. That is always the goal, to try to win, and if you don't, you don't, but the goal overall is to win the game, yes. And I know I'm sounding like Joshua from War Games, but maybe it was on to something, right? So yes, we're gonna finally get into the game today, and what do we have here? We have two settlers just standing there waiting to be used. One of them we're gonna make a city right away, the other we'll use to build up the area a little bit, and then he too will make a city. So the idea is, in the initial stage of civilization, especially civilization 1, 2, the early ones, you want to spread your empire out because the enemy is going to be coming. The enemy is going to be spreading. The enemy is going to be exploring. Build cities while you can, and then you'll have to take over the enemies if you need more, pretty much, as the space gets filled up. That's the idea of civilization. Alright, I think we're just going to get right into it. Hopefully you saw the first episode. This episode will be a lot of gameplay and also a lot of explaining, because there are a lot of changes in Civilization 2. And this is the vanilla version. You know, the Gold and the Test of Time and even the PS1, they have different things. They're the more established one. This is where it all started. You know, this and the DOS version are pretty much the same exact thing. This is the one that used the disk for the regular operating system, but it's pretty much the same exact thing as the DOS version. They're both the same. This one's just being used through an XP computer and running on the regular operating system rather than the DOS. It's the same thing, though. Alright, so let's get right into it. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, ring that bell if you like what you see, have something to say, and hopefully you guys do. This is the series to comment. Civilization 2 is one of those games where everyone has an opinion, everyone has an idea, and everyone has feedback, and hopefully you'll give it. That's what we're here for. But keep it civil. That's all I ask. Say whatever you want. Just be nice. You know, I try to be nice to you guys. Try to be nice to me. That's all I ask. And speaking of nice, check out our wonderful boss and myself as we do a fun show called Vespers Retro Reviews. That's right. This is a spin-off of that great channel, Vespers Retro Reviews, where we look back at things 70s, 80s, 90s, early 2000s, all things retro. Hopefully we'll see it there as well. And let's get right into it. Finally, we get to play Sid Meier Civilization 2. I can't wait to get into it. All right. So what are we going to do here? I am going to build a city right away. We are standing on wheat. Well, actually, no. We're standing on wheat, so I'm going to move one spot here so that we're not standing on the wheat, because I want to use the wheat irrigation. So I'm going to move down one spot. Once I click on our screen, there we go. Let's push C to center. All right, I am going to push down one spot. There we go. And you're going to start irrigating. There we go. Okay, so that was our first move in 4000 BC. So we're going to build a city. Now, I'm not going to come up with all the great names I did last time. Or I'm going to try. I don't know what I'm going to do. I might do a mixture of American cities and regular. We'll see what mood I'm in. But for our main city, we want to honor our main channel that we're spun off from, which is Vespers Retro Reviews. That doesn't fit, so we will do Retro Reviews. There we go. That is our channel. Please join us there. Retro Reviews, or Retro is alive and well, not going anywhere anytime soon. That will be our capital, yes. Alright, so what do we get? See, you get cool sound effects, besides the music that's playing. Like I said, to get the music playing is not easy in this game, especially this version. Retro Reviews founded 3980 BC, and I love how they're calling it BC, like they knew they were in BC. And it's always funny when games, cartoons, you know, TV shows of the past refer to themselves as BC. Like, you didn't realize you were the BC then, but we're referring to it now looking back on it. It's always funny when they use BC at the time. But anyway, here we go. We're in 3980 BC, and so I'm going to show you the screen a little bit. I had to assume not everyone's played Civilization 2, or if you have, you're rusty, or maybe you didn't understand everything. And these Let's Play long plays are a little bit tutorial in nature, but they're more just to relive the games. And that's why I call it a long play, even though it's more of a Let's Play, but it's really a both. We're going to play the whole game through, but I am going to talk, so that makes it a Let's Play, but it's still a long play because we're going to play start to finish. We're not going to stop until we finish the game. So it's a long play, Let's Play, long play, whatever you want to call it. With that being the case, we do have to go over a few things here. So this person here, the person in the top left corner, you see that guy wearing the blue shirt? That represents the number 1. So remember in Civilization 1, if you've seen those videos, it had a number on the city. That's how many of these icons you have in the city. And right now, that represents 10,000 population. You can see in the top bar there, City of Retro Reviews, 3980 BC, population 10,000. No money in the treasury because we just started our civilization. The second So this one guy here equals 10,000 citizens. And the goal is to grow this guy into 2. And how do we do that? In the city resources in the middle. So you see we have food 2, surplus 2. So right now we have the city itself requires food, and this 10,000 people requires food, and that's the 2. But now we have 2 extra, because you see we have 4 food in the field here on the left, the resource map. And that means we can now put that into our food storage, and then when the food storage box fills up on the right, you get another person. And that's how civilization works, at least the old school ones. It's definitely changed over the years, but that is how old school civilization worked. So what do we have in the middle here? Trade. Trade 1, corruption 0. Trade is making money by trade. Yes, it's exactly what it sounds like. Corruption is how much you lose because of corrupt. People are stealing the money, so the money is not being used for trade, and you don't make it. 40% is our tax rate, 0 is our luxury rate, 60 is our science rate. So that being the case, we get 1 science. And there you go. That's exactly how this all works. It's not hard. It's just you have to realize what do these little symbols mean. It's like, oh, I see a lot of wheat, and I see a beaker with some liquid in it, and I see 2 shields. What does this all mean? Well, that's what it all means. Production is the shield. So we are making 2 production per turn, and that's where we go here. You see where I click on change? This is the production. So what can we make? Settlers, warriors, a phalanx, barracks, temple, a Colossus. The Colossus is the great wonder of the world. We're not going to make that yet because it costs too much, but we do want to make some wonders because there's some cool stuff that happens when you get wonders in this game. It's a new addition. But our 2 shields equals what these are. 25 and 10, 20, 20, 100. That's what 2 shields worth of production gets you. That's what that means. The more shields, the lower those turns go. Like if you have like another shield, it'll be 3 turns to make the warrior, and then if you get another shield, it'll be 2, you know, like that. It just keeps going down and down the more shields you get. But to get shields, you got to put more things in the resource map, and you need population for that. And that's why population is very important, especially when you're at war. You want to dole out these weapons and units very quickly when you're at war, and especially protection. So you need as much production as you can get. That's why production becomes vital in this game. So for now, we are going to just build phalanx. Phalanx is your basic defensive units. And what does that mean? It will defend your city. Yes, so you have to protect your city. Any unguarded city, any enemy can walk right in and take it over. And that's how simple civilization used to be. It got a little more complicated than that. Now a city can defend itself in an essence. But in old school civilization, you needed units to protect your city. And how do we do that? With phalanx. Now, why use the phalanx? Well, you see that ADM here, 011 for settler, 121 for phalanx. Well, what does that mean, actually? Well, it means attack power 1, so he is not an offensive unit at all. Defensive power 2, so he is defensive. And movement 1. Yes, so he can move 1 square. He has a defensive 2, which is better when someone with a 1 is attacking, but he himself only has a 1. Alright, so that's what all that means. And we're going to click OK. Now we have a phalanx. Alright, so that's really all we need for now in this screen. So what do? We push enter to end the turn because that's all we can do. We have absolutely nothing going on. But now we had that 1 science. Remember how guys told you, oh, we have 1 science. Well, look at what just popped up because we have that 1 science. So we can do all these technologies now are at our availability. And we already had a few unlocked, remember, so that's why we have some more to lead to that. So when you unlock certain technologies, it leads to more technologies. It's a technology tree is what it's called. So all this stuff we need except for horseback riding, but horseback riding does lead to other things that you'll want later. What is it? The wheel, which we'll want later, and also you need with chivalry. So we will need to get it. Well, we need to get everything. I mean, everything leads to everything. But right now, what's important is things like pottery. We want to build up our city with a granary. That's how you get more population. So pottery is what we'll be going with first. And they're going to recommend something on the side. See on the side here it says, I recommend we develop currency. Yes, we will need that, but we also need pottery. So in the early stages, there's no real recommendations. It's whatever you can get, because you need everything to start the game off. So there you go. And that's it. That's how the first turn of, well, the second turn, because we moved 1. That's how the second turn of Civilization all plays out, alright? So now I'm going to push enter. That will end the turn. I'm going to push it again. You're going to do this a lot in your early initial stages of Civilization, because there's really nothing going on. And don't forget, a turn in the old school Civilization, in the old days, look at this, 3940, I push it, 3920. So 20 years are passing where nothing has happened. And why is that? Because the idea is, in the present, where we are now, the 2020s, as of this recording, time moves faster. Technology is there. We're able to do things instantly. That was not the case in the 3900 BCs. That really was not the case. things took a very, very long time to do when you had to do it all manually without any real technology. It was all new. It was old school. It was very rustic. So yeah, that's why you're spending 20 years on every turn in these old years of your civilization. Now, it will speed up when you get to the present, or the more modern era, we'll call it. Then it's a year per turn. So you see, they do catch up. But that's the idea of why so much time is being spent in the BC versus the ADs. Alright, so here we go. So now our settler, it took 40 years to put irrigation there. That's a lot of time to do that. So what we're going to do, we're going to push the letter R. So first I want to show you what we have now. So we have a farm now that he's standing on. So I click on Retro Reviews. And now look at that. We have 3 of those wheat icons. So now they're farming the wheat. And we're getting a lot of food. So now we have a lot of food surplus. And we're going to be able to expand our city that much faster. Alright, so that's the idea here. But we can make the trade even better by pushing the letter R, and that puts a road on that area. And roads are very important because you will be able to move 0.1 out of your one movement. So you get 0.3 turns per one movement when you're on a road. So you can move 3 spaces altogether while traveling on roads if your unit only has 1 move. So there you go. Roads become very important. Alright. And the roads are already ready. Roads do happen very quickly. Now, it shows you what you have on the square here. You see on the right side, you have moves 1, none American. Because none, because he just sort of came with the civilization. So he's really not associated with anybody. He is an American, though, but he's just not part of Retro Reviews. He was nomadic, and he came before there was any cities, and he's the one that helped to form it, along with the other guy that formed Retro Reviews. That's why I said none. He's a settler, and he's standing on plains covered by wheat with road and irrigation. So you see, that's what all that information there means. And now we're going to move to the right, and we're going to push enter again. Now we're going to push M, because I want to mine it. So you can get more production if you use these hills to mine. So you push the letter M, and he'll explode a mine there, and then we'll have access to more resources within the hill there. So yeah, so hopefully I'm teaching you guys something. We all take it for granted that everyone knows how to play Civilization, but not everybody does. You know, a lot of the feedback on some of my other Civilization playthroughs is like, wow, I didn't realize that. Wow, you make it look easy. Well, it's not easy. It's just I played this game for a very, very long time, and I'm not a pro. I've never once claimed to be a pro. There are people that can beat this game instantly. Like, pick the hardest level. They can beat this on deity without even blinking. I can't do that. So I'm not an expert. I just understand the game. That's all. I'm not an expert, but I know how to play it. So I'm glad I can help out if that's the case here. And I'm glad you guys are just enjoying reliving this playthrough. That's what the idea of this long play / let's play is, as I mentioned. Alright, so let's click enter again. Alright, so there we go. We got our first discovery. American wise men discovered the secret of pottery. Now, different in this version, they got rid of the whole, you get your triumphant music. They bring that back actually in later Civilization, where you have music related to your civilization that's sort of based off of a music style of your civilization. They got rid of that in the second one. That's because you have music playing in the background, so they're using the CD technology for that, which is fine. It's a good trade-off. But anyway, we got pottery. So what do you get now in this version of Civilization? And this would change the goal. It won't be as extravagant as this in the later Civilization 2s. In this one, you click OK, and you actually get a picture representation. They got rid of this for some reason in the Gold Edition, which I don't understand, but you get a picture representation of what you just got. So they show pots there, meaning, oh, well, that's pottery. What does it allow? Granary and a world wonder, the Hanging Gardens, and it'll lead to seafaring if you get map making. There you go. That's what all that means there. And if you click on description, again, it'll give you the whole science lesson. I mean, look at all this. Yeah, you could read all this if you want, but it pretty much just gives you the history of what pottery is. Not needed because no one cares, but it's cool that it was there. Again, games felt they had to be a little educational back then, so they did throw all that stuff in, the little history behind it. Alright, so after you get a technology, then what happens? Well, time to pick another one. Alright, so that's what you do. So you have a tech map, and I can't show it to you because, you know, I'm just showing you the game here, but the game itself came with a fold-out tech tree poster, and it's really cool. I actually have it hanging on my wall, and it's very cool because I have the original one from 1996 I got in the box, and I've always had it on my wall because, again, this was my favorite game growing up. And it is just so cool that they gave you things like this. Like, oh, you didn't have to download it. No, we'll give you the whole poster. It comes with the game. It'll show you what every tech leads to. So now we have the choice of code of law, horseback riding, map making, and writing. And I think I'm going to listen to the advisor. I think writing is an important development. Libraries really help, especially in the early stages when you need to get science for the technology. The libraries do come in handy. So yeah, writing is a good one. All right, so speaking of our first thing here, we got the phalanx. Alright, so the phalanx is going to defend the city now. And as you can see, yeah, he's in that unit's presence. So he's the defense we have of the city. We have 2 units now, so that means we can actually build another settler, and that's what we're going to do. Because I want to expand. We are trying to get our empire built before the other 6 civilizations come in contact with us, and if we have a small nation, we're going to be in trouble. So settlers is important. I would love to build all this other stuff, but in the early stages, I believe, and a lot of people believe, you should really expand your cities out more, and the only way you can do that in the original civilizations is with a settler. So yes, build another settler, what we're going to do, and it takes 14 turns, which isn't bad. That'll go by very quickly, I assure you. So what do you do with this unit that's blinking? You push the letter F. That means fortify. He is now defending that city, and he'll give your city a better chance of defending itself because he's within it. Doesn't mean he's going to beat everybody, it just means you have a good shot now to hopefully hold off any would-be attackers or pursuers of your city. But phalanx can lose very easily. It's just like Civilization 1, and no unit is better than any other. It's all, you have more chances, but anything could beat anything. You know, battleships can lose the phalanx still in this game, which stinks. But in later Civilization, they will fix that problem where no matter what, certain units can't beat others. That's not the case in Civilization 2. This is still pretty much very Civilization 1-like, except now we have a life bar, and that does make differences. You see that green bar on the settler there above the letter M? That is the life bar. So they did add that for this game, and that's actually a very needed and wonderful addition that has carried on through later Civilizations, yes. Alright, so let's keep clicking here. And we're traveling through time now. We're actually making some money because of the things we did in the city, so that's very cool too. Alright, so this guy is ready, and I'm going to push the letter R because I want a road on top of it. Our turn is over, but we don't want to end it, because now that we have this mine, look at that. In our top left corner there, you see the resource map? I'm going to move these 2 foods and put it on there. Now look at that. We still have a surplus of 2, but now we have 4 shields production. So look how much, how big a difference that makes. So 5 turns for that settler remaining now when we start at 14. So that's why you want to do things like this. It really makes a difference to build up your land. A lot of people don't realize you should use the settlers, not just to build city, but to develop your city land. It's very important to do this. It's time consuming, it's micromanaging, but you have to do it. Otherwise, your cities will never reach their potential. If your cities don't reach their potential, you're not going to be able to output the units that you have to later on in the game. Very important that you do this, especially on the harder levels. We're playing easy level right now, Warlord, so we have a little time to develop. But on those hard levels, you gotta pump this stuff out. You gotta have settlers, you gotta keep building, you gotta build more settlers, keep building. You know, you gotta really be on your toes in those harder difficulties. Alright, so there we go. Let's push the button again. Okay, so now he can move again. So now let's see if that made a difference. Believe it or not, it didn't. We still have 1 and 2. There's no trade, but it still helps us, because a road being there means we can now move freely without losing a 0.1. We get a 0.1 here on the wheat and a 0.1 on the hill. So we didn't get any benefit from it, but we got movement on it, so that's not a bad thing. Alright, so let's build more irrigation here, because our settler's about to be ready. There it is. Retro Cities build settler. Good. So we're going to send you out. Now, I think we want a granary. And I'll show you what a granary does. Let's click on help. Only half a city's food store is depleted, alright? So you keep half of your food every time your population goes up. It's very powerful. You definitely want a granary. Half the food is needed for your population. It is a very wonderful thing, and it's such a cheap thing to get. There's no point in not getting a granary. Very, very easy thing to get. Alright, so let's do that. We're going to push the letter I. Alright, so this settler is going to start exploring. We're going to find a new city for him to go to. Right away. He's not even going to worry about roads. He's not worrying about anything. He's just going to find a new place to build a city. Now, you don't want to be too close to your other city. Now, I don't know how many of you have seen my Civilization 1 playthroughs, but the land is shared when you're too close, and that means both cities won't reach their potential because each city is using the same land if they're too close. So you want to be a certain amount of spots away from your city. Now, I'm going to go up to the main menu here, and there's actually a view button, show map grid. There you go. So you can see how many squares we have to work with. So if I go to the city, you can see the desert and that spot above it is the range of the city. Alright, so we don't want to be near that. But this would be too close, because that would share it. So no, we have to keep exploring. So you see this settler building here, he would be sharing that same land. So we don't want that, so we have to keep going. There's a lot of desert here too, we don't want to build on that anyway. So we're just going to keep exploring. Push the letter R for more roads. Oh, we got writing though. Oh, look at that. So writing, a guy holding a pen. Well, that is what writing is. So yeah, I will go from that. And it allows for diplomats and libraries. Libraries are great. I already explained that. Diplomats is how you form embassies and make contact with other civilizations. So they're important too. But we haven't met anyone yet, so we don't need it yet. Alright, and I think we're going to go with... Oh boy, I'm going to look at my old tech map here. Alright, so Warrior Code would give us archers. That's a good unit to have. Currency gives us Marketplace. That's a good thing to have. Let's see. Mysticism gives us the Oracle. That's a good thing to have. Yeah, everything's good, like I said. But I think I'll listen to their advice. You know, Code of Laws gives the courthouse, which we don't need at all. But it leads to Monarchy, which we will need. So I am going to get Code of Laws because government types are very important in this. You want to change governments when you can. So I'm going to push C to center. Now, this is a good area to build. Not on the desert, but near that buffalo there. And I think that's exactly where we're going to build. On the hills and the buffalo, we have area to irrigate and area to build mining. So, yes, I'm going to put my second city right here. B. And we'll call it Ramsis City. After me. There you go. So 3400, we found Ramsis City. BC. Yeah, I have to mention we're in BC. 3400 BC founded Ramsis City. There you go. So you see, it's a little different. You get different totals depending on where you are, because that buffalo there gives us 2 shield and a wheat. We have 7 turns, so our production's 3. You see how it's larger than what the other city was? So building near resources is also a very important thing to do in this game. You want to be near rivers, you want to be near livestock, you want good farming areas. So yeah, this is going to be a good city if we build it up. So we're going to build a phalanx. And now let's see how retro reviews is looking. Alright, so if we click, there we go. So you can click anywhere on the screen and it'll automatically assign what it thinks is the best options. And right now we're going to allow this, even though I want to build faster. Getting more people in the city is a good thing too. So let's see, the granary will be ready in 13, so that's fine. Okay. But now we want to connect to Ramsis City, so that's our next goal here. We got to push the R to connect the cities. That's good to do too, especially when you want trade going, cities connected. It's very powerful. You want to try to connect to your cities. And that's going to get almost impossible to do, especially when you start taking over cities and other civilizations all over the place. It's going to be very hard to connect them, but a good road network is always your friend. Let's put it that way. Alright, so we're not the happiest, but that's okay. So you get these reports all the time, and that was in the first one too, and they sort of carried it over here. St. Augustine completes his epic history. The happiest civilization. Number 2 is the Americans. So that means one civilization's happier, and it really, at this point of the game, that means absolutely nothing. It just doesn't mean anything. Alright, so now I'm going to show you a new feature of this game, and it is something I mentioned in episode 1. And you go to advisors and you consult the High Council. I think it's time we show you what this is, because I'll be referring to these guys a lot. These are the 5 actors that played these parts and recorded so much footage to give you every single answer and opinion on everything that can happen in Civilization, and it's all just put in one huge video file, and then it's broken up to where it is relevant to what you have. So it's actually brilliant how they did this. I'm going to click on it now. And look at it, there we are. So those are the 5 actors we got, and it's military, science, trade, foreign, and attitude. I don't know if you guys remember this. I'm sure whoever plays Civilization 2, this is going to be like, oh yeah, those guys and the gal. Yes, I remember now. And it is great. Their advice is not always the best, but I think it's great if you want to get a feel of how are you doing overall right now when you don't really know. These guys will sort of clue you in. Like, they'll tell you, yeah, you need more units, or yeah, you're not really doing that well in science, or oh, you're doing great. You know, it's a good clue on, or barometer. We'll use the word barometer. It's a good barometer on how are we doing just by asking. So this is great. I thought this is one of the best additions to the game. We have actors now playing as our advisors, and it'll be specific, every answer to what our situation is. So here we go. Let's click on the military guy.
Give me more soldiers, noble leader, that they may sheathe their swords in the beating hearts of our enemies!
I disagree, Your Excellency.
So there you go. The military guy always wants more units, more units, more units, more, and that's good. That's what I would want my military commander to be like. So he's always pro-war, pro-war. Give me units. You're not protecting us. And he'll tell me, I don't have enough units because I have two phalanx now in my whole city and a settler. That's not enough units, so he's being very honest. But the science guy understands that right now that's not our priority. We got to build up our technology. So the science guy gets it, but the military is always going to want units. So here we go. Let's click on the science guy.
Excellency, look at me. Can I study and learn alone on the cold stone streets? Build places of learning that we may reap the rewards of wondrous new technologies.
So he wants me to build libraries. That's what he's saying, and he's right. But right now we're just starting our civilization, so there's nothing really I can do about that. But yes, he is right. Give him libraries, and technology will come faster. He is exactly right. So let's see what the trade guy says.
Excellency, let us make currency instead of swords, for it is wealth that moves the world, and profit that rules it.
He's right. We need currency. And it's fun that he knows what currency even is, but I guess I have a trade advisor. He should know what he's working there for. He's like, I'm a trade advisor, but I don't have any money to work with. Well, then what are you doing here, pretty much? But yes, he's saying discover currency, then he'll be able to give us better advice. That's pretty much what that means. All right, let's see what the foreign advisor has to say.
My talents go to waste, noble leader. Let us send forth our explorers to find other nations.
I concur, Your Excellency.
I concur, Excellency.
So she wants us to find other nations, and the other two agree for a very good reason. The military wants to take them over, and the science guy wants to trade technology. So it's kind of funny they're sort of cluing us in here. Yeah, you know, to do better here, you may want to find some other civilizations. We can either take them over or we can trade technologies or both. That's pretty much what those 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 words there meant. You got to sort of interpret it. That's exactly what they're saying here. Go find other civilizations, destroy them, or trade technologies or both. And there you go. That is what they're trying to tell you. Now let's click on the attitude. And you might notice that the attitude guy looks like a certain entertainer from American history here. Let's see if you guys can figure out who this guy is supposed to be.
Wise men say that only fools run an empire without luxuries, King.
I disagree, Excellency.
I disagree, Your Excellency.
And this is going to be a constant throughout the game. The guy acting as Elvis, and yes, it's very clearly an Elvis impersonator, and I think it's funny they did that for the attitude guy. He's always going to say, raise the luxury, until you have, like, cathedrals and things giving you luxury, then he stops complaining. And science and trade are like, don't you dare touch it, because I mentioned this in the first Civilization playthrough, you don't ever put it into the luxury. It's very silly, especially if your city is running well. Why would you ever take away from your money and your science to put into making people happy? It does not make any sense early on in the game, especially as a despotism. So he's always going to want you to do it, and the other two are always going to say, no, don't do that. And they're right. They're giving you the right advice. Don't touch it. Make sure that science and money are being made. The luxury is the least important. So there you go. That's one of the great additions of this game, and I thought it was brilliant how they did this. They used the FMV technology that was in the late 90s, and I know this might seem so out of date now and corny, but you have to remember, back in the 90s, this was like the coolest thing ever. Wow, we have them fine-tuning their advice based on how we're doing in a game here, and it's live actors telling us stuff just with a click of a button. It's very cool. How they did it was they just filmed like 10 minutes worth of footage for each of these, and then it would automatically just stop on the point that the program is saying is relevant to the situation, and just play a little clip out of that 10-minute movie. But it is still very cool how they were able to pull this off. I think it's brilliant and one of the best parts of Civilization 2. And sadly, they never did this again. Civilization 2, Vanilla and Gold are the only two editions that did something like this. They got rid of this altogether after that, which is sad. Some people say, oh, it was stupid, but this is the only edition that has something like this where they're actually live actors talking to you in the game, and I think it was a great addition. One of the reasons why people love Civilization 2 so much. Alright, so we're almost getting to the point to wrap this up. We'll do 1 or 2 more turns here, and then I think that'll be it. So we're going to push R here, and then we got our phalanx there. And I think what we're going to do is actually build another settler, because as you can see in our food storage, we'll have 14. So we're getting 1 per turn. So it'll be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Well, it'd be kind of close. So I don't know if we want to do that exactly. We'll have to see. You know, I don't think we can do it. Yeah, I think we don't have enough food. So I think we're gonna build a. Well, they might actually. Well, okay. For now, we'll build the granary, and then we'll change it to settler when it gets closer. That's what we'll do. So fortify this guy. All right. Excuse me. We just got another technology. It is Code of Laws. So let's see what that gives us. So you get a wall showing the laws on it. So that's kind of cool. I guess it's like one of the first instances of them making laws public way back when in the hieroglyphics here. That's kind of cool. Gives you the courthouse, but it's important because it leads to all those technology advances. And monarchy is what we're leaning towards. We definitely want that. And I think that's what we're going to go for next. I think, well, let me think. Like I said, it's going to be our last turn before we end this episode. Monarchy is important to have, but I'm not going to change it. So we have 3 cities, so we don't need that yet. Currency is what we're going to go for. We do need the money. He is right. Discover currency. All right, so let's do one more turn, and then I think we're going to wrap this up. Well, actually, one more turn where we actually accomplish something. How about that? There we go. I got the granary. Okay. So now you see that line where food storage is? That's the half. So you're always going to keep that, and the rest is what you're going to be using now to increase your population. And you're going to build another settlers. Yeah, absolutely. We need another settlers, and you're going to build one. All right, and that's going to be it. That was my turn. All right, so hopefully you guys are going to enjoy this. I know it's a lot of talking now and a lot of development, but as you saw in my other civilizations, it speeds along right away. After these first few episodes where I explain everything, then it's just going to be, I'm not going to explain things anymore. It's going to be boom, boom, boom. We got to do this, and I got to do that, and that's what it's going to become. But this is the fun of civilization, is that early development, that early, let's start everything out, let's see what we're going to do, let's see what we got to work with. And I think this is going to be fun. We have this little blot of land, but already I have a good feeling this is going to be fun. And this is just the beginning. I mean, I've only shown you just a little peek of what this game has to offer, and that's the fun of it. You got to keep staying tuned to see where else this goes, and hopefully you guys will. So don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, ring that bell if you like what you see, have something to say, and hopefully you guys do. And check us out on our main channel, Vestige Retro Reviews, where Retro's alive and well, not going anywhere. And stay tuned for the next episode. It'll be the 3rd episode, where I think things are going to start to move along very quickly. We have 2 cities now. I'm going to have another settler. That'll be 3 cities. And then we'll have a monarchy. And then I'm just going to start throwing things out there. We'll go for World Wonders. We're going to build up the cities. We're going to get units. So this is the early developmental. And again, everyone does it differently, but this is how I like to do it. I like to establish cities, get to the monarchy, and then start developing after that. So you had to waste a little time to get there, but it's worth it. You'll see it all comes together. All right. See you all next time. Thanks for joining us again. Much appreciated. This is going to be a fun playthrough. I think you guys are going to like this. And we'll do some other Civilization 2 stuff in the future if this does work out how I think it will. And I think it will. The vanilla version's the one I wanted to play, and I'm so glad I got it working for you guys. All right. See you all next time. Goodbye, everybody.